Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Break Super Meat Boy, the Let's Play where we only use Steve from Minecraft. Today we are doing the Salt Factory, and you know, this world is a pretty good mix of levels where you just, you kind of play it in a Meat Boy style, and levels where you can totally break it as Steve. And that was an example of one where you can totally break it as Steve, but that was not really a good one. And this is a terrible example of one that you can break as Steve. Half because apparently I'm just horrible at this level, and I'm coming up with completely the wrong strategy to use. I should probably be, breaking the blocks on the outside and then wall jumping up to the top, but whatever. And half just because I'm not good at this level to begin with. But in any case, let's throw in some arbitrary block breaking here, so I can at least feel like I'm keeping with the theme of this Let's Play. Obviously, that's a level where, Steve gives you a little bit of an advantage, considering you can just plow right through the side and not even have to do any of the other parts of the level. Now here what I'm trying to do is get on top, but what ends up happening is I get completely flayed by that saw. So I'm going to try to stand on the non-conveyor belt part and see if I can get out this way. Playing as Steve kind of requires a little bit of creativity, but, this game, let's put it this way, is not, I don't know, it's not in the same vein as something like Scribblenauts, where you have to be relatively novel in your approach. When you're using Steve, you just gotta look for, for holes you can exploit, places you can mine, places you can build blocks. I have no doubt there are faster ways to beat the levels than I'm doing right now, but in any case, I'm having a good time with it. This is another level that, first off, I'm just horrible at, and secondly, it's not really a good fit for Steve in particular. This is maybe the one level in the entire game where I actually liked using Commander Video, because I think his, the fact that he was a lot heavier than the other characters actually made him maybe a little bit easier to navigate through those tricky parts. Now, I like this level. Takes a little bit of practice until you can get these platform building aspects down perfectly, but once you do, it looks a little bit cooler than the other way, I'd say. And as we get a little bit later into the Salt Factory, we actually encounter a few levels in a row. Oh wow, that missile most likely would have killed us if we'd waited another second. Levels where you can basically completely break the game. Not just ones with locks right in front of Bandage Girl, which obviously we've dealt with before in the hospital, but we'll see when we get there. This is yet another level where Steve doesn't have a distinct advantage, actually maybe even a disadvantage, because if you try to use his power, you're just going to end up costing yourself time as you bore holes through the rock-hard cement of the Salt Factory. But in any case, he still, like I mentioned in the first video, he controls quite well. I think he controls most similarly to the Kid, probably, if you're going to make an analog to another character in the game. Or, for 360 users who can never unlock this character, that's about as close as you can get. This is one of those levels that I meant has kind of a cool creative solution. As in, you can beat it in 10 seconds, or I should say like 0.10 seconds, but, there's a little bit of risk involved there, because as you can see, the saw was so close it actually gave Bandage Girl a pubic Brazilian. That might not be the anatomically correct term for what I'm trying to refer to, but I think you got the gist of it anyway. And this is yet another level where Steve's powers, not all that fantastic. It's mostly hit or miss, I guess, in this part. Once we get to Hell, there's some really novel ways that you can kind of move around with the portals and the kind of interesting geography of the levels. And that makes, basically, Steve is like a fine wine. He gets better as the game goes along. At the start, he's probably actually worse than Meat Boy for a lot of the levels, but once you get to the end, for pretty much at least 95% of the levels, he is much, much faster to use. This is one where I particularly like using him because I am fucking horrible at this level otherwise, but as long as I can bypass 2/3 of it just by doing that, it works for me. Now this one is actually a lot harder than it looks, just because you've got to time your jumps appropriately. This is maybe my favorite one in the game so far, just boring a hole through the wall and completely bypassing that whole like missile dissolving block part that's actually kind of a pain in the ass. This one, depending on how audacious you are, I think you can get a lot faster of a time with Steve than you do with Meat Boy, but unfortunately, I don't think my tactics are in the right place on this level just yet. But we'll see. What I'd like to do is just, I don't even need to get that key, but I'd like to just bore a hole through the wall here. But I can't seem to time it right, so let's just jump in. Alright guys, I will see you soon in part 4. Thanks for watching as always.